Well, Simon Calvert of the Christian Institute joins us now. Good morning, Simon.
Oh, good morning.
Do you have any reservations or concerns about teaching children age-appropriate information about relationships and sex, even from the age of 5?
Yes, I mean, an awful lot comes down to what is age appropriate. And as David Weston explains it there, it doesn't sound too bad. But a lot of parents would not want adult teachers who are perhaps virtual strangers to their 5-year-olds, talking to them about their private parts. A lot of parents would have different judgments from the teachers about what's appropriate to teach a 5-year-old, about what is an unhealthy relationship. There are lots of questions. I think that perhaps the biggest problem with this is it's a one-size-fits-all approach. It's a typical sort of response of, politicians who want to be seen to be doing something about what is a recognised problem. So they come up with, a whizzo solution, but actually it isn't a solution. You don't prevent the early sexualisation of children by requiring their teachers to teach them about sex. It's the wrong solution to the problem.
Simon, I think many people say that their teachers aren't strangers to their children. I'm a mum of 2, and certainly the teachers know my children very well. But of course, we've got to remember that if this is rolled out as a compulsory measure, parents do have the choice, don't they, to opt out if they feel that it isn't appropriate for their youngsters.
They do, and of course that's welcome, because some people don't even think that parents should have the right to opt out. But actually, it's very difficult to exercise the right to opt out. Parents feel that they don't want to further marginalise their kids within school by opting them out, and they feel in a huge bind about it. A lot of the problem comes down to the actual content of sex education, and the sex education industry, rather than being part of the solution, is often part of the problem. They have produced and recommended materials over the years which, when many parents have seen it, they've been appalled. Channel 4 sounds pretty mainstream, but they produced a sex education resource which was so explicit that the government intervened to actually stop them distributing it to schools. So you have some very, very important judgments to make about what is appropriate for children. And you have here the idea that the law and politicians should just make all those judgments for all children. And I think that's the problem that a lot of parents will have. I think a lot of parents will think, no, I'm perfectly capable of teaching my child what they need to know to protect themselves. I'm perfectly capable of helping them to prepare themselves for later life. I can do that. I don't think it's the role of the school to come in and to try and fix that problem for me.
2 things on that, though. One is, of course, the world changes very quickly these days, and some parents may think they can equip their children with the ability to deal with the increasing sexualisation of our society, the so-called pornification of pop. They may not be aware how things have rolled on. The other thing is, I think it was Thomas Gray who wrote in his poem A Distant Prospect of Eton College, where ignorance is bliss, 'tis folly to be wise. But the problem with ignorance is, as we heard in a Link story this morning, is very few children in some areas of London, it's being recognised they're being sexually abused. At the very least, some kind of information at an early age may allow children to realise where the boundaries are and how to report these things and be listened to.
Well, let's say I think that all of us agree that there's a problem with the pornification of culture, and that the more that's recognised, the more we are likely to move towards solutions. And I think there are much...
But you can't put that genie back in the bottle, can you, with the internet?
Well, I think there's a lot of things we could do. I think broadcasters, for example, have a huge responsibility, and I think that parents need to be empowered, not disempowered, by the tyranny of the professional. And I think, you speak about the question, whether ignorance is bliss. I think it's right that, as I say, parents can help kids when it comes to the moral issues and what they should be exposed to. What schools can do is they can teach kids net safety. They can teach them about who to trust. They can teach them about stranger danger. They can teach them about the importance of talking to their parents.
Which is kind of sex education, isn't it?
No, it's
Simon?
not. Because this is the point, you see. This is the sort of the Trojan horse. You can deal with all of that without having to introduce compulsory sex education in primary schools.
Thank you for joining us this morning, Simon Calvert there of the Christian Institute.